Hey guys, so this is something that I've done in the past on the YouTube channel and haven't done in quite some time, but every week when I go to the comic book shop, I tell Gretchen about, hey, this is why I grabbed this and this aspect of this comic book and this and that. And she goes, you know, people on the YouTube channel are always asking for more comic book content. She's like, what you're telling me, why don't you put that on the YouTube channel and, you know, show off your comic book hauls that you get. And so here I am. And now I don't go to the comic book shop on Wednesdays when new comics are released. I know it's a big thing for people, like it's New Comic Wednesday, you know, but I go to a couple different shops. One of them is 10 minutes away, one of them is 45 minutes away. So in advance, I already know what books that are coming out that week. So I have the comic book shop hold them for me. And then the one shop closest to me, I'll go at the end of the week and get my comics. And the other one, I'll go every couple weeks and go get those comics. And so today being Saturday, I went to my local comic shop yesterday, and I'm going to show you some items that I got. My collection, as it has matured, has really come down to things I want to read and what they call key issues. Now, key issues are anything that could be first appearances of a character or the major storyline that has become like part of a movie. You know, like the recent Batman movie. Or it might be the first time a major hot artist or writer is working on a book and the storyline is just really great and it becomes collectible, you know. So that's kind of the two sides of what I've got going on right now. So let me show you just basically what I picked up out of curiosity or what I'm currently reading. And so Image Comics is now celebrating their 30th anniversary. Came out in 1991, I think, 1991 or 1992. And so the original creators of Image Comics have kind of all gone their separate ways. They formed their own little studios here and there, and they came back all together for the 30th anniversary to kind of go back over the comics that started Image Comics 30 years ago. And so the first one that has come out so far is Cyberforce. And I can't say I've ever been a fan of Cyberforce, but Mark Silvestri is an amazing artist, and this is kind of where he got his big start before going off and forming Top Cow Comics, which was a big thing for a while. So it's a thick issue. It's basically, I think it might be a reprint, but then it adds history of this book's involvement with the beginning of Image Comics 30 years ago. So that's kind of a curiosity for me to go through and see what's in this book. Now, a lot of the stuff I haven't even looked at yet. Like, I know what I asked to be held so I could bring home, but I forgot half of what it was. So I'm kind of going through this with you as I'm looking at it. This one is kind of this one I shunned the first time when DC did this, but now that Marvel's doing it, I decided to go ahead and pick it up because at the time I wasn't invested in the property. But I have gone back and revisited Fortnite myself, and I found out that I don't suck at the game. I actually win the game quite often. And so DC was doing a Fortnite crossover, and they would have codes inside the books that would allow you to unlock things in the game. Well, now Marvel's doing the same thing, and I'm a sucker. I'm not gonna lie, I've got sucker written all over my face. But believe it or not, the storyline didn't suck with DC, so I'm assuming it's going to be something of the same with Marvel. So I'm curious. The book is, I think this one is sealed. It might be sealed. Yes. Let's take a look. Yeah, so this book is sealed because there's a code inside, and they don't want you opening up the book, stealing the code. So they keep these guys polybagged. And so I don't know what the code is for necessarily, but I know that at the end of this mini-series, if I collect all the codes, I'll get like a specialty, like full item of some sort. So there you go. There you go. I'm a sucker. I'm not going to lie. Next up is actually for my wife. She doesn't know I got this for her yet, but I know that had she seen it, she would definitely have wanted it. And that is the new Poison Ivy series. I think this is a mini series because Poison Ivy has not had a long running series like Harley Quinn or Catwoman. But I could definitely see this character being a long-lasting, long-running series. So we'll see where this goes. But this one was definitely a pickup for Gretchen because I know that she definitely wouldn't want to pass this up. Now, speaking of which, when it comes to Gretchen's comics, she actually has an extensive comic book collection, mostly of Batman villains, mostly Catwoman, Harley Quinn. And so I also ended up picking up this Catwoman issue. Now, this isn't necessarily for Gretchen. She has stopped reading Catwoman, but this comes back to that point of key issues. This is probably going to remain being a minor key, but there is a cameo appearance of a character that has not appeared since Batman the Animated Series in the early 90s. Now, those of you who are familiar with the show will know that that's where Harley Quinn came from. She started out in the cartoon and then moved over into what they call the mainstream DC continuity. And that's the same thing with the character in this book. Catwoman being a villain, I guess you could say. This was her arch nemesis besides Batman in the cartoon. And that was Red Claw. Some of you, I mean, she looks just like she does in the animated series. So some of you might go back and revisit that and remember this character that has not appeared for 30 years. So, you know, bringing another Batman animated series character into the mainstream DC continuity could be a big deal. So this is a minor key that I grabbed for the first appearance of that character. Next up, we have, this is a thick one. This is a thick one here. This is a, I guess kind of like a trade paperback. Black Krrsantan. Now this, when I grabbed it, I thought it might have been original stories, but this is actually a collection of reprints from his best appearances in the Star Wars series, the Star Wars main series, the Dr. Aphra series, and I think the Darth Vader series. I have said numerous times before, I have always been a fan of Black Krrsantan. I'm going to be hipster about this, okay? But I was there before his appearance in the Boba Fett series. Like, I have always been a fan of this badass Wookiee right here. This is the only Wookiee we've ever seen to go toe-to-toe with Chewbacca, all right? I mean, look at him. If you've seen the Boba Fett series, you know this character. He was portrayed so well in that live-action series, and when he first appeared on screen, I jumped in excitement because I've always been a fan of this badass bounty hunter Wookiee. Also, to go along with a book in the same sort of format is this year's DC Pride book. Last year, I know that they did a series of covers, and you can actually see it on this Poison Ivy book. See there in the corner? I don't know if this is the Pride cover. It just kind of looks like a regular cover with the Pride tag on it. But last year, DC, on all of their titles, did a specific Pride colorful cover, which I really enjoyed. And I don't know if they did it purposely to make them the most appealing covers, but it definitely worked because I grabbed a few of those of series that I didn't even read, but the cover art was so amazing. And so once again, just like it says down here at the bottom, new stories, fan favorite characters, and more Pride than ever before. Because I think DC might have been one of the first publishers to say, this person is openly this gender, trans or queer or bi or whatever. And so these are stories related to those characters. And this isn't just a cash grab for DC because these are actually quality stories. When I went to go pick up this book, the comic shop owner was actually telling me, hey, check out this story. It's actually a really good story. So I'm really interested in seeing here. You know, Tim Drake came out as bisexual. Superboy, Jonathan Kent is gay. You've got, I can't remember the Flash character here, but they are trans. Aqualad here, I think, came out as gay as well. So I don't think that these stories are necessarily focused on the fact that this person is of this gender, but it's focused on the fact that these are characters of different genders, gender identities. So very cool. So now we're going back to key issues, all right? Now, this is a book. It's not rare. It's not hard to find at all. As a matter of fact, if you listen to Rob Liefeld's podcast, Robservations, he will tell you almost every episode, 5 million of these were sold. And it started his career, and he became a millionaire from Marvel and this and that. X-Force #1. Now, this is another book that's polybagged, and let me show you why. Another polybag book. It actually says right here that there is a collector's card in with the book. Now, the reason that I picked up this, and this is not my first copy of this, but the thing in with the book is part of the collection that I needed. This is part of my addiction, my collection addiction. 5 million copies, 1 million copy each of this book had a different collector's card in with the book, right? So I think the first one had like a team card of X-Force, and then you had Domino, and then you had Deadpool, which is obviously the really famous one that everybody wants to go after because it's for Deadpool's first trading card. But the one that I didn't have is actually one of my favorite characters of all time, and that's Cable right there. So this is the 5th issue I have. It's also the 5th card, so I have the full complete collection. Yes, I know, 5 copies. Why? Just because of a card? Yes, that's part of my problem. Okay, so but it's the polybags, believe it or not, are actually not good for the books. They end up like creating like a spine in the paper if they're compressed too much. And but this is in really good shape. I think I don't know if it's the polybag that is tinged or if it's the comic itself. More likely the polybag, but otherwise it's not in bad shape. It's not in bad shape. My 5th copy of this for a purpose. And so one other key issue that I bought is this issue of Batman 242. And this is the first appearance of Bruce Wayne being a character called Matches Malone. Now, back before the super technology that Batman has nowadays, where he can see through walls and hear sonar and blah, blah, blah because of his cowl, he used to actually have to do some street investigation in not costumed form, if you will. So Bruce Wayne would dress up as a thug, a gangster, a henchman named Matches Malone, and he would infiltrate the local mob scenes or nightclubs or whatever, posing as his henchman so that he could get into areas that Batman just obviously couldn't get into because of the way he looks. But a regular Joe Schmo gangster guy, he can get into a lot of sneaky little cracks. So I picked this up because I feel like Matches Malone might be making a resurgence as well. Another character, Matches Malone, also appeared in the Batman animated series. But Batman has been defunded, if you will. Back in 2020, the Joker found out who Batman was, found out he was billionaire Bruce Wayne, and did a bunch of schemy sort of stuff. And now you've got broke-ass Bruce Wayne. Joker literally stole somewhere around $100 billion from Bruce Wayne. And while Joker isn't a billionaire himself now, it did cause the IRS to go into Bruce Wayne's finances and figure out, hey, where's all this money going? So Batman has been defunded. He doesn't have the Batcave anymore. There's no Wayne Manor anymore. He has to actually repair the Batmobile himself. So I think he's going to have to start doing a little bit more street work like he used to as well. So I'm hoping to see more of Matches Malone in the future. This guy right here. This is the first comic book cover appearance of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Mando actually has his own comic book series coming out. So I had to grab this guy. Now this is a second print. It's got the silver border on it. A first print had a gold border on it, and I just didn't have the opportunity to get a hold of that because this is a variant cover. This isn't the regular cover for this Darth Vader issue. So this one was kind of an offshoot, like if your comic book store didn't buy enough of the main issue, they weren't getting the variant issue. So I had to go and find this on the secondary market. So obviously a key issue for a reason, right? And now then we have a brand new Firefly series. Yeah, Firefly, Joss Whedon's Firefly. So I had been collecting the regular series from Boom Comics, which ended. And now they have all new Firefly, which is kind of set in the future from where we know. Kaylee is now the captain of the Serenity. Mal, he's sporting a beard there, kind of retired from being the captain. He knows that he put Serenity in good hands. And so this series is actually, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Joss, I don't think, is involved in this particular series. So I don't know if in the future it will maintain being canon in the Firefly continuity. That's a fun cover right there, the Wanted poster. But we'll see. We'll see. So far, it's been a fun read, and I kind of like where they went with this series itself. And last but not least, by one of my favorite writers. Now, believe it or not, I love this writer for his horror work, not in his supernatural work, not his superhero work, which he's done plenty of. But Cullen Bunn has been writing Godzilla versus the Power Rangers. Like, how does this not make sense, right? Like, think about every Power Rangers show that's ever existed. What do they fight? They fight giant monsters. So Godzilla versus the Power Rangers? Kind of a no-brainer, right? I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen this before. Fun read for anybody who is a fan of either the Monster universe or the Power Rangers universe. This is a great pickup. That's all I got. And as you can see, Gretchen's like, go tell other people these things that you tell me. So here we are. Thanks for sitting through this short video. And if you guys have any questions about anything else that I have shown you guys, or this isn't all I collect, by the way. This is just my one visit to this comic shop that came out this week. New items come out every week, and I have a whole different shop that collects different items for me, okay? So I will do more of these in the future, all right, guys? So thanks for sitting here with me and watching me just nerd out on comic books, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.